So we're going to get straight to the elephant in the room. What do you think about the design here of this Nothing Phone 3A Pro? They unveiled the design maybe like a couple weeks ago, and I personally like it. Some people don't, some people do, but I think it's pretty unique, right? This is a phone that as soon as you look at the back of it, you know exactly what it is if you are in the geek nerdy space and you know all the phones that are being launched. But yeah, this camera module on the back is housing a new periscope camera, and nothing says that just to accommodate for the space of these new cameras inside of this phone, they needed to make the housing bigger, and they went with this design. And this goes along with the transparent back, which is the kind of signature look for Nothing phones. So you still have some circuitry and different things going on in the back. So it's a really nice phone just to kind of stare at, especially when you first take it out of the box. But the only inconvenience of this camera bump that I have experienced is when I am using this phone with a smartphone gaming controller, because it just doesn't give me a completely flush fit. So I definitely wouldn't be moving around a lot with my phone inside of a gaming controller like this. But besides that minor inconvenience, the way they have the cameras aligned in this camera bump and just the overall design, I'm a fan of. And even if you're not wrong. But I will say that personally, I would rather a smartphone company try to take a chance every year or every 2 years to switch up the design of their phone instead of just going with the design that just works for 3-4 years that we see a lot these days. So shout out to Nothing for at least trying to do it. And if you don't like it this year, hopefully you'll like it next year. But right now, I'm feeling it. And you still have the glyph interface around the camera module. So these are 3 LED lights that you can customize in the software to be able to have different patterns and different sounds or ringtones to go along with it. And just like before, you can assign different ringtones to different contacts. So if you know that your wife is calling, you can have a certain pattern so you know exactly who it is. But I typically don't lay my phone face down on the table to really take advantage of this. But I typically use these glyph lights as like a torch light, which it actually has an option here in the settings here. So you can tap on this and this will turn on the light. So this is good for using it as an alternative to a flashlight where it uses the traditional flash. This is a little bit more of a softer light, but also you can have these on so if you are trying to take a photo at night, it creates a softer light on your subject. But getting back to the design, so this 3A Pro does come in 2 colors. So you have the gray like I have here and also black, and it is rated IP64 for water resistance and stuff, and that's up from the IP54 rating on the Nothing Phone 2A from last year. And it does have an under display fingerprint scanner for unlocking, and also still does have face unlock. And then also you do have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery inside of this. And so I've been getting all day battery life with this, and it goes into the second day with enough to get me to around lunchtime if I'm just paying attention. So yeah, battery life has been pretty solid for this price range. And then also it does come with 50-watt fast charging, and that's up from the 45-watt charging on the Nothing Phone 2A. And this is rated to get you from 0 to 100% in about 56 minutes of charging and 0 to 50% in around 19 minutes. And also this doesn't have any wireless charging, by the way. Now you still do have a physical SIM tray here down here at the bottom, but also you do have eSIM on this phone too. And also just the size of the phone still have that nice matte finish that you found on the Nothing 2A. So this thing is definitely not going to be showing a lot of fingerprints. I barely see any on here, and it just feels very comfortable to hold in my hand. The button placement is perfect in my opinion. The volume buttons here on the left hand side are right here next to my middle finger and my index finger, and then my thumb rests right here on the power button, so it's very easy to be able to activate that. And then you also have this little extra button down here. So this is the essential key. So this new button right here is taking advantage of Nothing's take on their AI. So once I press this once, it basically will take a screenshot, and now from this point I can add a note to the screenshot. So I can either type in the note, or I can actually press on this microphone button, and then now I can record a voice note to go along with this screenshot. And then when I hit stop and go ahead and hit this arrow button, now this will be sent to the essential space, and I can access this space just by tapping on its app icon or any of the widgets that's available for it, or I can just double tap the essential key and then boom, it will take me right here. So from here you can see that you can set up certain collections for maybe your tech or your food or whatever other things that you just want to kind of keep grouped together. But then also this memory section here will basically show you all the different type of memories that you've taken with this key. So I can go to this one where I actually took it on Rivian's website. And so after you take a screenshot, it actually tries to give you a nice summary of what it sees. So sometimes it's very like 1 wordy or 2 wordy, but sometimes if you have a decent amount of information here, just like I have when I took the screenshot here, it gives me the information about the different Rivian cars here that it did see in that screenshot. And I also do have an option to add this to a collection. And so I went back to this website here, and I'm going to take another screenshot using this. And this time I'm just going to press and hold down on the button. So it takes a screenshot, and then it automatically goes into the voice recording mode. And so when I release it, it now automatically goes into the essential space. And so you have to keep it simple. This basically is trying to be your #1 stop for your notes and different memories and just different things that you're trying to keep in one solid place. But right now it's at its infancy stage, so this is just kind of a bare bones look at it. But in the future, Nothing will be releasing updates to this to allow you to be able to activate the essential key inside of the camera app. So now it'll be able to go ahead and do the same type of function with whatever you're taking a picture of and be able to analyze that photo, whether it's like a restaurant menu or a sign to a store or something like that. And then also it'll be able to automatically like group things into collections for you and just more stuff that should be coming down the pipeline, but just wasn't ready for launch right now. But a couple of things that I do want to see improve with this is one, and when you do take a screenshot of a website, I wish that it did save the URL for that. So when you are in the essential space, you'll be able to quickly go back to that website. And two, I do want to see just more options for this button. I know the main thing for this is going to be the essential space, but I would like to be able to see this assigned to be able to do different things depending on what app that you are in. So we'll see if those things happen, but let me know what other things that you would like to see this essential key be able to do in the future. And then the screen on this bad boy is a really nice screen for a mid-ranger phone like this. So it's bumped up from the 6.7 inches on the 2A all the way up to 6.77 inches here. So you get a little bit extra screen real estate here, but also this still is an AMOLED display. And as far as the refresh rate, it goes between 30 all the way up to 120 hertz. And you don't have to worry about brightness with this phone. So compared to the Nothing Phone 2A, which came with a peak brightness of 1300 nits, this has a peak brightness of 3000 nits. But I also really enjoy gaming on this phone too. So not only because of the screen and just how well it looks, but also because inside of this phone, you do have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 7S Gen 3 chipset. And so this processor paired with the 8 or 12 gigabytes of RAM, depending on which configuration that you go with, really allows this phone to kind of just feel like a phone that's closer to the $1,000 range. So I haven't experienced anything that's significant when it comes to slowdowns or any performance hits when I've just been doing the typical things with the phone like I have with this 3A Pro. Now, I just mentioned the configuration, so let's talk about that here. So there are three for this phone. So the first two come with 8 gigabytes of RAM, and you have between either 128 gigabytes of storage or 256 gigabytes of storage to choose from. And then the third one, the top of the line one, which I have here, is going to be coming with 12 gigabytes of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. Now, this top of the line version will be the only one that's available for US buyers, and it does have a price of $459. And you can only get this being a part of Nothing's US beta program. So you just go to the website to be able to get information on how to be able to buy this phone. And yeah, you're not going to be able to buy this in your local carrier store, but this will be compatible with AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. But with Verizon and AT&T, I think you might need to call them to be able to whitelist this phone to be able to have access to that 5G, but out of the box 3G and 4G should just work fine. And so I think we waited long enough. Now let's talk about the camera performance on this phone. So this is a mid-range phone, again, coming in under $500 here in the US, but the cameras perform very well across the board. And you do have this new periscope camera that does allow you to get all the way up to 60 times zoom. And while that's nice, of course, at 60 times zoom, the results aren't going to be that great. So again, it depends on the situation, whether or not you're just really trying to get close. But for me, when it comes to zooming, I'm going to be sticking with either the 3 times optical zoom or the 6 times lossless zoom that you do have. And that's because in these photos, the details were still there. And this periscope camera, along with the main wide angle camera, do come in at 50 megapixels each. And so the default camera mode does take 12 megapixel photos, but you can enable the 50 megapixel mode. But the good thing is that once you take a 50 megapixel photo, you can now crop in after the fact and just pinch and zoom on your phone if you want to be able to get some really nice detail. Now, the ultra wide camera is taking a step down when it comes to megapixels. So on the Nothing Phone 2A, it came in at 50 megapixels, but with this 3A Pro, it does come in at 8 megapixels. But the field of view has improved from 114 degrees all the way up to 120 degrees. So you'll be able to get more inside of that ultra wide shot. And for this being a mid-ranger, I really walked away very satisfied with the photos and also with the front facing camera that comes in at 50 megapixels as well. I found that I really liked the portrait mode photos. The edge detection was really good as far as cutting my big old head out from the blurry background. And then you also do have a really good macro mode, and I use it for this flower shot right here, which I think came out pretty nice and crisp. Now, when it comes to video recording, while you can't use the ultra wide camera to record video, you can record 4K video up to 30 frames per second using the other cameras on the back and also the front facing camera. And if you do want to get up to 60 frames per second, you can drop down to 1080p for that. So I would have liked to have seen 4K 60 on this phone, but hopefully next year they can bring that to this A series of their phones. All right, moving on, let's talk about the software. So this phone is running Nothing OS 3.1, and this is running on top of Android 15. And this continues to be one of my favorite Android launchers right out of the box because of the uniqueness that Nothing does add to it, especially with its widgets. The widgets are nice and cool and different. And then also you do have really good folder organization organization here on the home screen. So you have different types of folders that you can choose from, like this circular one right here. And I can tap here in the middle to be able to access more of the apps that are in this folder that I can't see. And the same thing for the square version here. I can tap on this to be able to access all of these apps in there. But I like having a lot of apps and widgets on my home screen, and I don't really want to have to swipe over that much. And this really gives me that. And you can also get rid of this Google search bar to be able to add more stuff as well. And then also just being able to customize the look of this phone with the customization. So you can go with their signature monochrome look here with the Nothing phone to make it like black and white and stuff. But new this year is actually a smart drawer option. So basically this is a beta, but it does work very well. So now it will group all of my apps into different sections, like my utilities and entertainment and lifestyle and stuff. So this is very nice. It's very similar to what you can do on the iPhone when you swipe all the way over from the right to the left. It does organize your apps and stuff, but I like having this just one swipe from the bottom here on this phone. And then also with wallpapers, they are incorporating some AI here. So let me go into the customization here. And then now when I go down to the more wallpaper section, I have this wallpaper studio. I can hit create. And then now I can mix and match a few of these different options here. So I'm gonna go all the way over to this one, and then I'm gonna go to graphic design, and then now I can create a wallpaper, and this will automatically do this. It takes a couple of seconds, and then boom. And boom, there we go. So we have a wallpaper here that I can download to my phone, or I can automatically go ahead and set it as a wallpaper. And customization for your quick settings here when you swipe down from the top have been improved here. So you can easily add some different apps here, and you can also adjust the size of the different things that you do have on here, which I like is nice. And I also just like the fact with Nothing's OS is that basically when you tap something like this Do Not Disturb widget here on your home screen, it turns red. And I just like that little extra color here that they've always done with their OS. So yeah, software is really good. It performs very well on this phone. And let me turn on the torchlight here on the back here because I just love looking at this. But bottom line, just to kind of wrap everything up, this 3A Pro really does perform like a phone closer to the $1,000 price tag instead of the closer to the $500 price tag. So the design might be hit and miss with some people. Again, I personally really do like it. The hardware, the feel of it, the form factor, it just doesn't feel like a $400 and something phone. It does feel like a more expensive phone. And I think that's the purpose. That's the point of something like this. You are paying less money, but the experience doesn't feel less. And that's ultimately why I think this will be a good seller for Nothing. And this will definitely hold us over until we see the official Nothing Phone 3, which will be their flagship phone. And that phone will cost closer to the $1,000 price tag. We don't know just yet. But until then, we have this Nothing Phone 3A Pro. But they also launched the Nothing Phone 3A, which is the younger brother in this 3A series. So this does have a price tag of $379. So it is cheaper, but you do have some similar specs like the display and stuff, but the cameras are a little bit different. So stay tuned for my coverage and my review of this phone coming up as soon as I take it out of the box and use it. So right now, let me know your thoughts about this phone down in the comments below. But like always, I do want to thank you for watching this video, and I will catch you later. Peace.